Have you ever noticed it? You walk into a cafe, a store maybe just down the street, and someone's eyes follow you, not in a way that feels uncomfortable, but in a way that says they've noticed something. It's not your hair, not your clothes, not even your figure. It's harder to name. It's an energy, a presence. Almost like you've stepped into the space carrying an invisible light that makes people want to know more. If you're a woman in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond, you might have felt this from time to time. And maybe you wondered, what exactly did they see in me? Because it wasn't the kind of attention that comes from flashy outfits or loud voices. It was the quiet, lingering kind that makes people lean in without realizing it. Carl Jung believed that real attraction at this stage in life has almost nothing to do with youth or flawless beauty. In fact, he said that the most magnetic people, especially women, are those whose presence reflects a kind of inner wholeness. They've lived, they've learned, and they carry themselves in a way that tells a story without saying a word. The truth is, this kind of magnetism isn't a gift only some are born with. It's a collection of rare habits. And when you know what they are, you can start practicing them in your own life, no matter your age. Some of them are so subtle that most people will never guess they're the reason someone is unforgettable. But once you start living them, people can feel the difference instantly. So stay with me until the very end of this video, because I'm going to share 6 habits that can make a mature woman absolutely irresistible, without a hint of pretending, without chasing, and without changing who you are. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the little bell icon, because you won't want to miss the other videos I'm creating on Carl Jung's fascinating insights into human nature and attraction. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist whose ideas still shape how we understand human nature, believed that real attraction begins inside. Not in the mirror, not in the way you pose for a photo, but in what he called the integration of the self, that delicate balance between your inner world and your outer world. When we're young, our attention is often pulled outward. We focus on appearance, approval, and fitting into whatever image the world tells us is beautiful. But Jung would say that's only the surface. True, lasting allure doesn't come from how perfectly we follow fashion trends or how flawless our skin looks. It comes from a deep alignment. When the person we are on the inside matches the way we move, speak, and exist in the world. Here's the surprising part. Jung believed that this kind of attraction actually grows with age. Why? Because over the years, life has a way of chiseling away at our insecurities. We start to understand ourselves better. We learn what matters and what's worth letting go. Slowly, the outer mask we used to wear begins to fall away, and the personality underneath, the real one, starts to shine through. That's why you've probably met women in their 50s, 60s, or 70s who seem to draw people in without trying. They don't chase attention. They don't need to prove anything. They simply are. And in being fully themselves, they send out a kind of invisible signal, a mix of confidence, self-possession, and warmth that makes people curious, even enchanted. What's even better is that this kind of magnetism can't be faked, and it can't be bought, but it can be cultivated. It's not about learning tricks to impress someone. It's about shaping your daily habits in a way that reflects the truest version of you. And that's exactly what these 6 habits do. Each one helps you strengthen the link between your inner self and your outer presence. So people aren't just noticing you, they're feeling you. And once you understand them, you won't need to chase attention ever again. You'll have something far more powerful. You'll attract it naturally. Habit 1. She listens without needing to control the conversation. In today's world, conversations can feel like competitions. Everyone's waiting for their turn to talk, mentally rehearsing their next line instead of hearing what's actually being said. Social media hasn't helped. People get used to speaking in short bursts, grabbing attention, and moving on. But there's something almost disarming about a woman who isn't in a rush to speak, who lets her attention rest fully on the person in front of her. Carl Jung would see this as a sign of a well-developed self, a woman who doesn't feel she has to dominate in order to be valuable. She's secure enough to give space without fearing she'll be forgotten. And that's part of what makes her so magnetic. When you meet a woman like this, you notice she doesn't fidget while you talk. She doesn't glance at her phone or keep interrupting with, "Oh, me too" stories. Her eyes stay on you, not in a heavy, uncomfortable way, but with a warmth that says she's genuinely present. In that moment, you feel heard, not just your words, but the meaning beneath them. And something inside you relaxes. I remember once sitting across from a woman in her late 60s at a dinner gathering. She wasn't the loudest or the most animated at the table, but people kept gravitating toward her. Later, I realized why. When you spoke to her, she wasn't thinking about what to say next. She was with you in that little bubble of the moment. It made you want to stay in her company longer, just to feel that rare kind of attention. Jung believed that listening in this way taps into something deep in the human psyche. It builds trust. It creates intimacy. And though it's not the intention, it adds a touch of mystery. Because when someone truly listens, they're not revealing everything about themselves, but they're letting you reveal yourself. That makes people feel closer to you than if you told them your whole life story. The irresistible part? This kind of listening can't be faked. You can't perform it while secretly waiting for your turn. You have to mean it. And when you do, people will walk away feeling lighter, understood, and strangely drawn to be in your presence again. Habit 2. She moves with unhurried confidence. There's a kind of presence you can spot instantly, even from across a crowded room. It's in the way someone walks, not rushed, not dragging, but moving with a quiet assurance, as if they own their time. We live in a culture of speed. People hurry from one thing to another, juggling schedules, talking fast, eating fast, living fast. But when a woman moves with calm, deliberate rhythm, it's like watching someone step out of the noise. Carl Jung would call this an expression of individuation, living by your own inner clock instead of someone else's. I once saw this at a train station of all places, where everyone was rushing for the next departure. In the middle of the crowd was a woman, maybe in her mid-50s, walking at a measured pace with a small suitcase. She wasn't slow, but she wasn't hurrying either. Her head was lifted, her eyes steady, as though she had all the time she needed. People made way for her, not because she demanded it, but because her composure subtly commanded it. There's something magnetic about a woman who moves this way. She seems untouchable by chaos, like her world is ordered from the inside out. It makes people curious. What does she know? What has she lived? That lets her walk through the rush without being swept away by it. This unhurried confidence isn't about arrogance or superiority. It's about owning your own rhythm. You stop measuring yourself by how quickly you respond, finish, or keep up. Instead, your movements match your mind, steady, intentional, unshaken. And when your body language says, "I'm in no rush to prove anything," it sends a silent message. You're someone who's worth waiting for, worth watching, worth approaching with respect. Jung would say this is the outer reflection of an inner truth. You've learned to trust yourself, so the world begins to trust you too. And that trust, that sense of grounded presence, is one of the most irresistible qualities a mature woman can have. Habit 3. She speaks in a way that leaves space. One of the most irresistible qualities in a mature woman is the way she speaks, not because she talks the most, but because she doesn't need to. In a time when people fill every silence with noise, her words are chosen, her tone measured, and her pauses intentional. She knows that mystery lives in what's left unsaid. Carl Jung believed that the anima, the feminine energy, has the power to enchant not through force, but through presence. And part of that presence is the ability to create space in a conversation, letting others feel the pull of curiosity. When you don't rush to fill every gap, the people around you lean in, waiting for what you'll say next. I once watched a woman at a small gathering, a woman in her early 70s with silver hair pulled back in a loose knot. When she spoke, she often paused mid-sentence, not because she'd lost her thought, but because she wanted her words to land. She'd look at the person she was speaking to, let the silence breathe, and then finish her thought with just the right amount of detail. Never too much, never too little. People hung on her words, not because she tried to hold attention, but because she respected the listener's imagination. She didn't spill every personal story or opinion in one go. If someone asked her about her past, she might smile and say, "Oh, that's a long story for another day." Or let's just say, "I learned the lesson the hard way." And just like that, you want to know more. Jung would say this is the art of letting your energy speak alongside your words. It's not about withholding to be manipulative. It's about letting the listener meet you halfway. That's when connection deepens. Because people feel invited into your world, not handed a map with every street labeled. The truth is, we value what we have to reach for. And a woman who speaks in a way that leaves space gives others that gift, the chance to discover her, layer by layer. That's magnetic in a way that never fades. Habit 4. She dresses as an expression of her inner self, not to please others. Clothing is more than fabric. Jung believed that the symbols we choose to surround ourselves with, including what we wear, are reflections of the unconscious mind. The colors, textures, and shapes we choose can speak before we do. And a mature woman who knows herself uses this not to chase trends, but to tell her story without saying a word. The difference is easy to see. Dressing to follow trends often means erasing what makes you unique, molding yourself into whatever style is in this season. But when you dress as an expression of your inner self, every choice, whether it's a flowing scarf, a tailored jacket, or a pair of worn leather boots, feels authentic. It's a visual whisper that says, "This is me." I once met a woman at a bookstore, maybe in her late 50s, wearing a simple black dress with a deep emerald shawl wrapped loosely around her shoulders. The shawl had tiny gold threads running through it, catching the light when she moved. Nothing about her outfit screamed for attention, yet people noticed her. Later, I found out she always wore green somewhere on her, because it reminded her of the forest near her childhood home. That small personal touch made her presence feel even more memorable. When you choose clothes that align with your personality and history, they become an extension of your identity. A woman who has mastered this doesn't dress to impress. She dresses to express, and people sense that. It's subtle but powerful, like reading a book with a beautiful, meaningful cover that hints at the story inside. Jung would say this is living in harmony with your archetype, the authentic self-image that naturally draws people toward you. Whether your style is bold and colorful or understated and classic, the point isn't to please others. It's to stand as a visual reflection of who you already are on the inside. And here's the beautiful part. When your clothing feels like you move differently in it. You carry yourself with more ease, more confidence, and more quiet authority. That's when people stop seeing an outfit and start seeing you. And that is unforgettable. Habit 5. She knows how to be alone without being lonely. There's something magnetic about a woman who can enjoy her own company, not in a closed-off, I don't need anyone way, but in a quiet, contented way that says she has a life that feels full, even when she's by herself. Carl Jung believed that wholeness comes from embracing both connection and solitude. He called this balance essential to individuation, the process of becoming your truest self. When you can be alone without feeling lonely, you send a subtle but powerful signal to the world. I am whole, whether you are here or not. It's a rare kind of freedom. Many people rely on constant interaction to feel validated. But when a woman is at ease in her own company, she's not chasing attention. She's not afraid of quiet evening solo walks or traveling alone. That self-sufficiency makes her presence even more valued when she does choose to share it. I remember seeing this in a friend's mother, a woman in her 70s who lived alone by the sea. She would spend mornings tending to her garden, afternoons reading on her porch, and evenings walking along the shoreline. When she came to family gatherings, she was warm, fully present, and joyful, but you could tell she wasn't dependent on these moments to feel whole. People gravitated toward her not because she needed them, but because she wanted to be there. That difference changes everything. Jung would say that when a woman is comfortable in solitude, she's integrated the parts of herself that many people try to avoid. She's faced her own company and found enough. This creates an aura of emotional stability, a groundedness that draws others in. Being with her feels peaceful, never desperate. And here's the paradox. The more comfortable you're being alone, the more people want to be around you, because your energy feels like an invitation, not a demand. Habit 6. She radiates gratitude and appreciation without flattery. Flattery is cheap. People can sense when compliments are given to win favor or soften someone up. But genuine appreciation, the kind that's unforced and freely given, is rare, and it leaves a lasting impression. Carl Jung would connect this to the integration of the shadow. When you've stopped competing, comparing, or measuring yourself against others, You can truly celebrate their strengths without feeling diminished. Gratitude becomes an honest expression, not a strategic move. A mature woman who radiates this kind of gratitude notices small things others overlook. The way a friend laughs, the effort a stranger makes to hold the door, the quiet kindness of a neighbor checking in. She doesn't just think that was nice. She says it out loud, sincerely. I once watched a woman at a local cafe thank the young barista not just for making her coffee, but for remembering her order from last week. She said it with such warmth and eye contact that the barista's whole face lit up. It was a small moment, but it shifted the entire energy of the interaction. That's the thing. Genuine appreciation touches something deep in people. It makes them feel seen. This isn't about over-the-top praise or constant gushing. It's about being present enough to notice and value what's good in front of you. People can feel when your words come from a real place. And when they do, defenses drop, barriers dissolve, trust grows. Jung believed that gratitude in its pure form is a sign of a balanced psyche, one that doesn't need to diminish others to feel secure. When you offer it without agenda, you invite a deeper connection. And that's part of what makes a mature woman irresistible. She's not using her words to manipulate. She's using them to acknowledge the beauty and worth she sees in others. And in doing so, she becomes someone people want to be around, not because she feeds their ego, but because she nourishes their spirit. When you look back at these 6 habits, you can see they have nothing to do with how much money you have, the number of candles on your birthday cake, or whether you match some passing beauty standard. They are not tricks, and they are not performances. They are ways of living that grow out of soul maturity, the kind of richness that only deep self-understanding can bring. A woman who listens without needing to control the conversation creates a rare, magnetic space for others to feel seen. A woman who moves with unhurried confidence seems to carry her own calm, wherever she goes. A woman who speaks in a way that leaves space invites curiosity instead of chasing attention. A woman who dresses as an expression of her inner self tells a story without saying a word. A woman who knows how to be alone without being lonely carries a quiet independence that makes her company a gift. And a woman who radiates gratitude without flattery connects with people in a way that nourishes them instead of simply pleasing them. Not one of these depends on youth. Not one fades with time. In fact, the more life you've lived, the more powerful these habits become. And the beauty of it all is that you can begin practicing any of them today. You don't have to change everything at once. Choose one that speaks to you and start weaving it into your daily life. Small, intentional changes can shift the way people experience you, and even more importantly, the way you experience yourself. If this video resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel, not just so you don't miss the next one, but because together we can spread a vision of confidence, respect, and deep human connection that goes beyond surface-level attraction. Share this with a friend who deserves to be reminded of her own quiet power. And remember, real magnetism doesn't come from trying to be someone else. It comes from becoming more of who you already are.